Welcome to the Dad Show. Dad Sports Life. Let's go.
Today on the Dadger, we're joined by Jeff Mack, former Wisconsin Badger linebacker who has taken those lessons from the field into the boardroom. He's now a VP at Park Bank, and even more importantly, a proud girl dad of 4. Thanks for joining us, Jeff.
Yeah, man. No, I appreciate the time, and I appreciate you thinking that I have something to talk about. You got a much cooler podcast, so I don't know if hopefully I can do you justice. Yeah.
I have liked every single interview I've done. It's good to hear from, some guys that have done a ton of podcasts, but it's nice to hear guys that you don't really ever hear from. So
Yeah.
Born and raised in Madison, middle child, 2 sisters on both ends. Can you talk a little bit about your upbringing?
Yeah, man. So both my parents are from Chicago. They met in high school. Kind of an old school, like dad was a football player, scored touchdowns. Mom was a cheerleader on the other team. Was like, wow, who's that guy that just beat us? Dad comes out of the locker room, meets her, fall in love, all that jazz. And so my dad played Wisconsin, wide receiver, flanker. A more well-known Jeff Mack than I am, as I can tell you stories about that. But they decided to raise their family here. My mom came here, got her master's, and really, just settled down here. Loved the city. Had my 2 sisters and I grew up in a household, dual parent household. The heavy focus was on academics. I was a natural or old. I don't know what the right term is. I just loved everything. I tried to idolize my dad. I loved everything he did and what he was about, and even his faults. Like, he can't swim, so for some reason I thought it was cool not to swim. So I can't swim. That's dumb, but that's how much I respected it. Was I did everything he did, and went into football, and that's what kind of led me into football, as well as like kind of my size at the time. I was a pretty big kid at that age. Growing age. I stopped like 8th grade. I was like 6'1" in 8th grade and never grew another inch. But yeah, man, no, growing up in the household, it was great. Mom was kind of, just very accomplished. She worked for the city in a number of different factions and then for the state. And my dad was kind of the tried and true, like consummate, great employee, worked at the company for 33 years. He worked for Madison Metro. It was like kind of our bus transit company down here in Madison. And, but he was the guy that had the schedule that allowed him to be the coach for every single sport that I played and that my younger sister played. And, just instilled those lessons and work ethic and all 3 of us, but mainly, my little sister Nisha and I, because he would coach us. My oldest sister was, she was a little bit older, and that was, it's interesting, right? Like, when you have kids, if you have kids in certain periods of your life where you're on that upward trajectory, you might not have that focus. That was kind of like my dad. Like, I would make an assumption. I never got a chance to talk to him about it, but, also having daughters, it can be a little bit different because as my dad played football, basketball, there wasn't a football league for girls at the time, and then basketball, that was like a secondary sport. And so I think me getting into football was just kind of a natural thing for him to want to be a part of, and then I just transferred into basketball. And so anyway, long story short, we were a big sports family, football and basketball, and it was a great time. And sometimes you miss it, but sometimes you're glad you're not doing it, because we were all over, AAU ball, we were all over the place. So.
I mean, my body probably couldn't take it today, but yeah.
Right.
So you said your parents met in high school?
Yeah. So my parents, they're rival high schools in Chicago.
Is that you guys ever think about that? How it's funny that they met in high school, were rivals, and you and your wife met in high school, but you obviously both went to West.
Yeah, no, bro. I mean, it's interesting. Like, it's super funny. So, like, my parents met in high school, but also funny enough, her parents met in high school. They both went to Edgewood.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And
Okay.
and then my wife and I met in high school at West. And so, it was one of those things. So then imagine, bro, like I had a daughter, well, we have 4 daughters. I had a daughter that was at West. And I was like, oh, like, I gotta start watching the people that's coming into this house, man. Like, it could be one of them. That could be the one, right? But yeah, it didn't happen at that point. But yeah. So it's interesting. Like, we all, maybe either it's serendipity and it's amazing coincidence and we love it first sight, or maybe it's laziness. I don't know. Whichever you look at it, right? Yeah. So
bring it back to your childhood, kind of. So in the Real Talk podcast, you were in football and basketball growing up. Do you play any other sports, or was it just the football and basketball?
No, man, it was mainly that. It was football, basketball. I mean, I ran track a little bit, but it wasn't my thing. I don't even know if it wasn't my thing. It was just like I didn't really care for it, and nobody pushed me. My dad was very open to like trying different sports. I mean, I tried soccer, I tried baseball. I could tell you a story about that. It was just really I got hit in the nether regions and I quit immediately. That was something I couldn't handle that. I could not handle that risk. And so it really just kind of stayed focused on basketball and football. And then I was real into school, and so the summer I also did a lot of like summer enrichment programs. So from an academic standpoint, my parents were real big on that. That was a big focus in our house, was education. And so if I wasn't practicing or training or lifting weights or doing something to that regard, I was probably doing some type of math book, that my dad was making me do, or we had an old Apple computer, like I don't know if they called it like a MacBook or whatever. No, it wasn't a MacBook. It was like an iMac or whatever they called it, like one of the first Apple computers. And I remember we had this like science thing that we had to all work on. I just remember spending hours on that, and so it was just, and then when you're a kid, back in the day, whatever generation we are, I don't know what gen we are, but we did a lot of just hanging out with our buddies, playing, hanging out, and just going outside. So I kind of had that old school, life of growing up. We lived on a cul-de-sac, so it was easy enough for my mom to say, "Go outside, get away," but come back when the lights are on. So
yeah. With your dad being a former Wisconsin football player, you said he coached you in a lot of stuff growing up. What was your relationship with him and football exclusively growing up? Because some of these guys I talked to, like Derek Tyndall, really had a love-hate relationship with football because of kind of his dad almost forcing it on him. And, some of these other guys are the exact opposite. So I guess I'm curious to see how that was with you.
Yeah, mine was perfect. I mean, I don't want to call it perfect. It was a great balance. Like I was, my dad was like the best. He was like my favorite guy. Like, he was just, but it wasn't not obviously when we were growing up, I got in some trouble. He was the, he could be mean. But
he was still a dad. Yeah.
Yeah, he's still a dad. He's whatever, I think, but he's a dad that like I aspire to be. You know what I mean? In the sense of like, I think he was there when I needed him. He wasn't a talker. Like he wasn't like this like long-winded communicator. Probably to some degree, I'm sure my daughters would tell you like that I am. But he was just, like we didn't have a lot of like talks, like the talks and anything like that. But what we did, it was just more like he was there to answer any questions. One of my favorite stories is going to practice. I played for the Southside Raiders, and that was my first like organized football. And we're at practice, and I'm calling him Dad, like, "Hey, Dad, what am I supposed to do here? Dad, where do you want me to go?" And when we got in the car to go back home, he was like, "Hey, man, like when you're on the football field, I'm not Dad, I'm Coach." And I just thought it was like a shock a little bit, as a kid, like when you did something wrong. But I thought more it was about like structure and about like, hey, I'm teaching all of you, all the boys, how to be the best version of themselves. And you have to be in line. Like, again, I'm going to you get the privilege, or whatever you want to call it, of after practice being able to talk, ask questions, whatever. But when we're all there, you're a part of a team. Nobody's better than the other person. Nobody's more special. And I just always found value in that. And he was, we watched film. Like he was. There was that kind of, I guess, crappy part about, like it not all being about fun. It was about kind of like accountability, getting technique down, doing things right the first time, understanding, learning your playbook, all that jazz. And so his coaching didn't end when the whistle blew, or when practice was done, or when the game was done. It continued on and on and on. I mean, to the point where, like, I was in college and he's wanting to talk about every game. I'm like, Dad, I'm already watching film. Like, I can't. Can we just eat? Or can we just talk about something else? Like, but
right.
it was great. I mean, I look back on it, hindsight's 2020, and with him passing in 2022, like, I really miss those days and those times and those moments. But it was a great time, and we were best. He was one of my favorite. I mean, he was the best. So.
Yeah, in a article you kind of did an interview with Madison Public Schools Foundation. You you said he was your hero. So maybe this is a dumb question, but did you ever feel more pressure with having his exact name, him going, being a well-known Wisconsin athlete, and everything he had accomplished in his life? Did that ever I guess cross your mind?
Man,
not really.
It's an interesting question, Adam. Like, I would tell you, I didn't, but it's a weird reason why. God, let me see if I can get this right. Like, so one thing, right? Like, he was on offense. So as a defensive guy, like, offensive guys always get way more accolades than they should. You could let AD know that. You could let Lee know that. Any of the offensive guys, like, you guys get way more accolades than you should get. Like, your play. We have to react off everything. Like, it's a crazy imbalance. But with all that being said, like, he was offense, so I always knew, like, offensive guys are going to get more more. Wow, he caught the pass to beat Nebraska. There's a story of my freshman year. Get me back on track after I tell the story, because sometimes I can ramble.
No, you're good. Trust me. I had Bernie on here. I'm well aware of getting off of track.
But the freshman year, right? Back then they used to do, like, family fun day. Like, you go to seminary, so you got your practice for, I think, 2.5 or 3 weeks. And then, like, there's this one day where everybody comes to Camp Randall, and, like, fans can come out there and throw the football with. Like, if you're a freshman, sophomore, or maybe like a role player, not a player that's starting, and not Ron Dane or a quarterback or anything like that, like, you're just in the field, and people get to come up to you, talk to you, socialize, so on and so forth. And I was a hometown kid, so people knew of me. But again, I was a freshman. We had just come off a Rose Bowl. Like, I was not a namesake. And I remember my dad came, that's the only time during that 2 week of fall camp that basically like the outside world gets to see the players.
Yeah.
And so my dad comes over, and I'm over there, and I'm assigning an autograph maybe once every 20 minutes or something like that. But I'm there with, like, little kids, like, throwing a football around. And my dad comes over, and we're just talking about how camp was going. And, it was kind of tough for me because I was getting redshirted, and, this is your first time that you ever find, as a really, as a good athlete in high school, that has started. In all my life, I've started, right? All my life, I've excelled.
Yep.
This is that first year where, like, you've met your match. Like, these guys are better than you, stronger than you, faster than you. They know the playbook better. Like, I wasn't able to showcase. I wasn't there yet. I wasn't ready yet. And so I'm talking to my dad about it, and then, like, this guy comes up, just a fan, and, like, hey, are you Jeff Mack Sr.? And yada yada. Hey, man, I was there when you caught the pass to beat Nebraska. Then that guy tells another guy, and next thing you know, man, like, I'm telling you, no, I'm not joking. Like, 20 minutes, my dad had a line for him to sign his name, and I'm like, I'm the guy with the jersey on. Nobody's on my line, and I'm like, Dad, you gotta get out of here. So anyway, my dad was always like, and my dad was always like a what do you call it? Like he was always very known, and everybody loved him because that was back when Badgers weren't that good, and we beat Nebraska, and it was just like for everybody it was like a big deal, especially any Madisonian at that time. So I didn't have like any issues with. And my dad gave me, when I was getting recruited, he gave me a lot of leeway as to, he didn't really talk about where I should go and, hey, remember the lineage and all that jazz. Like he was really, hey, it's on you, to choose what you think is best for you. And he was always very stoic in that sense. The other side of it, man, is like I grew up, like in high school, I grew up around the Thompson brothers.
Yep.
There's Donnell and Bryson Thompson. And these guys, they were like football like gods. Like, these guys, they looked like Adonis. Like they were all like super strong. Like they had great genes from their father and their mother, and they were just really good players. And then one of my best friends that I grew up with, like since I was like age 7 or 8, was Reese Gaines. And Reese Gaines was a basketball player that wound up a Hall of Famer for Louisville, played in the league for 4 years, played overseas for 10 years. And so these guys that I was befriended and that I was a part of in a group at West High School, they were like the cat's pajamas, for lack of a better term. They were the wow kids. So I was always kind of like a second runner up around from an athletic perspective and around an accolade perspective. And so I wasn't it wasn't hard for me to be, I don't even want to say in the shadows, because I wasn't in the shadows. It wasn't hard for me to be amongst other really quality or better athletes. So my dad's accolades and credentials, I also was just a super fan of my dad. So yeah, he was the best. I think he's great. So my dad didn't really kind of force anything on me from the standpoint of like, hey, you need to go to Wisconsin. He didn't. It was really my choice, and just the idea and the combination of athletics and academics were just, we came off winning the Rose Bowl. We're one of the top, public schools, from an academic standpoint.
Yeah.
It's my backyard. It was all, it kind of made sense for me. I always wanted to leave Madison, to be honest with you, because I wanted to kind of, quote unquote, spread your wings, but it didn't map out, and I wouldn't give it up. I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah. So you talk about the 77-yard touchdown catch to be number 4 Nebraska. Did he ever work that into like life lessons growing up, or like coaching, like, when you're down and out, Yeah.
No, he didn't. But you know what it was? It was like, I think he was really, I don't know the right term. It's probably not the right term. Like adored, or like he was really like revered from his teammates. So when I saw his teammates and I met him, my dad was pretty humble. Like he didn't speak too much about what, his accolades. Like we had the tape of him catching the pass, and like we had friends of his and old teammates of his, the Rufus Fergusons and Billy Merricks and stuff like that, would come by the house and would talk about, my dad and like his accolades. Like he played with Mike Webster, and they talk about like those are the guys that they all valued and they loved because of the work ethic and so on and so forth. But he didn't. I think either he was really good at bringing me around people that would speak up for him, or he was just or he was just really humble. But I mean, I think both could be probably true at the same time. Like I knew how great a person and player he was, and more importantly, person. And I thought that was always interesting. I do remember that, like, people have such a high regard for him as a person, and I always thought that was really cool. And I thought that was, again, wanting to be my dad, that was like the kind of thing I always thought about. Make sure I'm a good person first and foremost.
So in that Madison Public Schools article, the other side of being a athlete is a student, right? The article also talked about, how your mother made sure you were performing well in the classroom as well. Maybe not appreciated at the time, but looking back, do you ever think about how fortunate you were to have both sides of that term, student athlete, at home?
Yeah, man, I would tell you, not to get on like my soapbox or whatever, but like I think, without that duality, that dual parent household kind of like focus. That's not to disregard like my dad's focus on academics. My dad was the one that was there, always giving me like a notebook that I had to write in, or like a math book that I had to do math work in the summer, because he was there. My mom worked like kind of like a regular 9 to 5 job, but my dad worked this kind of 4 to 8. I don't know if that's third shift or first shift. I think it's third. I don't know, but like he worked this job where he was there when we were home. So he was the guy that was, making sure we spent an hour doing, timetables or something like that. So my dad was a part of that too. But I think without that duality, without both the parents, I wouldn't have had somebody there focusing. And my mom might have been really tired when she got home from work. It wouldn't have been that much of a hyper focus on academics. And so that academics got me the ability to, I don't know if it's a funny story. An additional story is I lived on the east side of Madison. And when I grew up, I played on the south side for the South Madison Spartans. But back then they didn't have open enrollment for school. So I was supposed to go to La Follette. And again, I had really fun friends, great friends there. But when you're a kid, especially a boy, your best friends are the guys you play football with, you guys you're in the trenches with. And so they were all going to West because that was their district. And so due to my academics, I was able to get basically, I had to interview and I got accepted into West High School. So if I wouldn't have had my
open
academics,
enrollment or something,
if I wouldn't have had my academics, or if I wouldn't have been doing well in school, I wouldn't have been able to get into West, which I wouldn't have been able to then play with my buddies and my friends and so on and so forth. And so academics got me, and then academics got me into Wisconsin. Wisconsin, obviously I had some athletic ability, but I had, you still had to pass. I think we had to pass the ACT, and I had a really good ACT score and all that jazz. So, academics were huge, and that dual parent household, and that focus on academics being the priority was immense for me and my success.
You talked a little bit. You kind of alluded to it. I assume you started all through high school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you play both ways in football?
Yeah. I was linebacker and running back.
Okay. Were you getting recruited for both or just linebacker? Because like Pat, they don't keep stats from the 90s on the internet for some reason.
Yeah, I want like I don't want to be the old guy here being like, oh yeah, everybody wanted me as a running back. I don't remember. Like I remember I went to O State camp, and I remember the O State running backs coach really liked me as a running. This sounds hilarious. He liked me as a running back. Like he had this, like he thought I was. I had some similar. Oh God, this sounds so corny. He thought I had some similar. I remember it though because it was like a huge deal. Like Eddie George was one of my favorite players, and like he said, like I had some similar qualities of Eddie George from a running standpoint. I wasn't super fast, but I had good line of sight. I had good eyesight. I had a strong body type. I could take hits, so on and so forth. Anyway, so I'm not sitting here saying Ohio State was trying to recruit me to be a running back. What I am saying though is I think I had some other smaller schools that saw an opportunity there, but linebacker was kind of the thing that I think I excelled in.
Was there a point in your high school career that you really started to see more interest from colleges, more offers coming in?
It was interesting because again, Donnell Thompson, who was a senior when I was a freshman, and Bryson Thompson, who was a sophomore when I was a freshman, they were also at West at the same time. So
yeah,
obviously. So there was always recruits there. So I would say where I got most, when I started getting the most looks was like my senior year. I was a dual role player, play both sides, and I was a good player, and so I would say that's when I got most of my recruits. I went on 3 visits. I got recruited from Colorado, Northwestern, Colorado, Iowa, Minnesota. I think the recruiting letter that I got that my mom still keeps is my MIT and my Brown.
Okay.
One. But yeah, in Wisconsin, obviously. So I got more looks my senior year. But I think some of that was due to the fact of like I went to camps my sophomore or my junior to senior year. I went to like Nebraska. I went to Minnesota. No, Nebraska, Ohio State, and Michigan camps, and I did pretty well in all of those.
I know in an interview you did, you said initially you were wanting to play for Lou Holtz and Barry at Notre Dame. Did you were you getting looked at by them?
No, that was like my dream school. So that was
okay.
Like Notre Dame was on, like they were the only. I think they still have their own contract, right? Like they're still the only thing that like NBC plays them, right? And so
right.
That was just who I grew up watching. I loved Lou Holtz. I loved the Rocket. I loved Tony Rice. I loved Stonebreaker and those linebackers. And so I loved being a linebacker. I loved Notre Dame, and Lou Holtz was that coach. And what was interesting was, I don't know if I said this or if I told my mom or my dad or something, but I was like, man, if Lou Holtz, I think he might have retired or something happened, or I don't know, but I can't remember. But I was like, look, if the closest thing I can get is Coach Alvarez, like that's a win, because Coach Alvarez was the D coordinator or a linebacker coach, and then I think last year D coordinator before he came to Wisconsin. And so I was just, I love the Coach Alvey and his kind of hard nosed mentality, very, lunch pail-esque type of style of ball. It spoke to me more than anything. Just very like physical. Like we're just stronger than you. We're gonna hit you more. We're gonna be stronger than you. Like that's the way we're gonna play. And that was what I loved about Coach, and that's what I loved about how our style of ball was, and that's what I loved about Notre Dame too. I just thought they were like a very technically sound team and very well coached. So.
Had Notre Dame offered, would it have been a no question you would have gone to Notre Dame?
I think if Lou Holtz had offered, probably. But again, yes, of course, yes. I would love Lou Holtz. So of course, yeah. I'm going to Notre Dame.
So I guess you said your dad was kind of hands off and not pushing you towards Wisconsin. Was there like anyone that maybe like a coach or somebody else that really helped you in trying to navigate all the offers and where you would ultimately go?
No, it was really my dad. And again, I guess I want to be clear. I guess I should try and be clear about hands off. Hands off in the sense of like whose decision it was. But my mom and dad were very hands on with regard to the process. Scheduling.
Like if you had questions, they were helping.
Yeah. They were all in on that. Like, I mean, our house was my mom, I know I talk a lot about my dad. Just, I think it's more like I don't know what that is, like a machismo thing or like, as a father myself, I just have this like I have this ultimate respect for him. But like my mom is a football mom. Like she's the one watching the games every day. She's the one watching film. She's eating. She's cooking the right meal. She's making sure I have to eat this meal. I can't have too much barbecue sauce because I got to keep my weight. You know what I mean? Like she was. If I had to run in the morning, she's the one that would get up and run with me. So this is not a like one-sided thing. And so anyway, I say all that to say like my house was all in on football. So my success was a team success. It wasn't a Jeff and Dad, you know what I mean? Or Jeff and I guess Jeff and Dad. Yeah, we're both the same names. It wasn't like a dad and little Jeff like victory. This was like a team. Like we all won as a family, and my sisters were cheerleaders. Like, probably even if they didn't want to be, they had to go to all the games and stuff like that. So it was a football family, and so we were all invested, and so they were a part of my process, and they were a part of helping me make the decision. It was just from like if I would have said I wanted to go to, and God forbid, not God forbid, like I would have said I want to go to Minnesota, I think they would have been like, okay, you know what I mean? Because I did my due diligence, I put the time, energy, and effort in to find out like what was the best school for me. So And Wisconsin was hands down.
So you ended up going to Wisconsin, obviously. When I interviewed Marquise Mason, who's also a Madison, I think he went to West too. I think he went
he went to East. I think Marquise went to East.
Yeah, maybe East. He said he felt the pressure of the city, being a hometown kid that made it to, a school like Wisconsin to play. Did you ever feel any of that pressure when you were getting recruited there, or even your first year there? Like kind of putting the city on your back, so to speak, but not really.
Yeah, man. Again, I didn't. And the main reason why, man, is I had two guys. I had a captain, a senior captain in Donnell Thompson that that was his shoulder to bear, right?
Sure.
That was his thing to bear. Like, he was a second year captain, senior, Rose Bowl winner. Like, I mean, we came into a team that was very senior laden, senior heavy, and very processed. So that was a class. I mean, it was just a class that, like, they showed you how to win. They showed you what the process was, the process for victory, the process for success. And it was about the details. It was about detail orientation, accountability, knowing your knowing your position, knowing your technique. It was all about the little things, bringing your lunch pail to work. It was about doing your job. And so, when it came down to, like, Wisconsin on my back, or Madison West, or the city on my back, like, I also had Bryson, so when Donnell left and I was then starting as a freshman, I had Bryson with me. He was also like, we were working together in tandem. And so it was just I didn't think of it that way. I thought it was a privilege to play for the the city of Madison. It was a privilege to be on that field with my brothers and my staff and coaching staff. And I was the pressure was more on me. The pressure was on me by making sure that I did right by the players that I was on the field with. Like, I didn't want to mess up anything, because that's not how Wisconsin play football. We play football technically sound. We play football with proper pad level. We play football the right way. So if I did my job, I basically was doing the right thing for the team, and that was my biggest focus, was just making sure that I don't mess up anything. I'm not the cause of us losing a game. Like, I'm doing my part to make sure we win.
Having grown up, obviously, where you went to college, having your family so close, I'm sure that made it kind of a easier transition rather than some of these people that go cross country. But was there one thing when you got to UW on or off the field you really struggled with transitioning to?
The transition for UW? And hold on, I got my daughter just walked in and my wife just walked in. So I'm on a podcast real quick, you guys. So sorry, man.
No, you're good. Hi, Jeff Mack's family.
Yeah. So what I struggled with, it's funny. When I struggled with when I came to college, I don't think I struggled with anything so much as I was shocked at the amount of freedom you had coming to college. You know what I mean? Like, that threw me off a little bit. Like, I could stay out all night, but I would pay the price because I had to be at Lyft at 5:15 in the morning or something like that. So there were a couple tears. I remember, I don't think I ever told you, but I was thinking a couple tears I had in my room. Like, I was so dumb for sleeping, for staying out till 2 and then having to wake up at 5 and go lift, a ton of weight, but but I mean, I think the transition was good. West, again, I don't know what this sounds like, but I came from a good educational background in Madison Public Schools. I felt like I was prepared for Wisconsin academic from an academia level or academic, like from a curriculum perspective. Football was just the hardest. I mean, I think being a redshirt. I think someone had told me. I think it was probably Donnell. that told me like no red shirt had ever amounted to anything. If you were a red shirt linebacker, no red shirt linebacker amounted to anything. So that was like really hard for me to deal with. I remember I used to sign off all my emails as the angry red shirt. But you know, that made me work harder, and I think that helped me propel myself to starting as a redshirt freshman and then starting all throughout my career there. So yeah, man, I wouldn't sit here and say anything on the college side like really was hard for me to deal with, other than the fact of I think just learning how to like manage your freedom, your time,
Yeah.
and then just understanding like I wasn't God's gift to football. I had to work to be able to. I had to work really hard to be able to play on that field with those men. So
I would say probably 90% of the former football players, I should say, that I have on here have a call their parents needing to be talked down from the ledge story. Do you have one you could share?
I might have talked to I might have. See, the other thing is like, I met my girlfriend. I met my girlfriend and my wife in high school. So she might have got that conversation more than anyone. She might talk me off the ledge. But no, I don't think so. I don't think I had it, man. I think I don't know, man. Again, I had Donnell, I had Bryson, I roomed with Wendell Bryant my freshman year. So Wendell Bryant and Bryson Thompson, that were my roommates. Like, and Wendell was like he was like a God's gift to football,
Yeah.
And he was super like positive with me and just like keep working hard. Like, I just have really good friends. I mean, that's something, man. I'll never. We might not have won all the games that I wish we would have won. We didn't win a national championship or anything like that. But like, I'll never give up those friendships that I had with those guys. I mean, and I would say that just because I had some really tough times where I felt bad about. I had a pity party or whatever, but I had friends that were like, "Yo, man, get up. Like, I don't like that's not how you're gonna succeed is by just wallowing in your sadness." So you gotta, I tell this to kids now, like, there's only one person that can keep you off the field, and it's you.
Right.
Like I could have wallowed and like felt sad for myself, but I was like, all right, it just means I have to work hard. It's like how you frame it. Also, there was actually, my mom and I had a pact. I will say this. I do remember this. We had a pact that if I didn't start by my freshman year, my first year, I could eligible to play, that I would have to transfer to Morehouse, and I wanted to be a doctor. And so she said, like, that was our pact. So it was kind of this thing, like, I really liked my time in Wisconsin. So I was like, all right, I better figure out how to start. My mom will call in that
she'll cash in. Yeah.
Yeah, she'll cash in on that promise. So,
you talked a little bit about, some of the older teammates helping you out when you were kind of struggling there that first year. So AD actually listed you as one of the guys that helped him when he got to UW. Was there someone on the team when you got there, maybe a couple years under their belt already, that helped you?
Oh, like, I'm sorry, you had cut out just a little bit. You said AD said I helped him, and he said, like, are you asking, like, was there somebody to help me on the team?
Yeah.
I would say it was probably Bryson Thompson, Nick Grayson, Ben Herbert, Lee Evans. I would probably consider my best friend coming out of college. We really maintained some really close friendships out of college. I still know BJ Tucker and Byron Brown, Nana Gillespie, Corey Martin, Jamal Wilson, Nick Koshart, John Cleanscale, like all these guys, like John Welsh, Jimmy, obviously Jimmy and Jim Sorgi, all those guys. So
yeah,
I would say but the one that probably helped me the most was just probably my roommates would probably be were Bryson Thompson and Wendell Bryant. Sorry.
Yeah. So you talk about your redshirt freshman year. I'm sorry. You started 10 games, had 55 tackles. So you came in and made an impact right away. Did you feel like you could compete right away that year, or was there a moment or play that really solidified it in your head that, you could compete with anyone on that field?
Oh, that's a good question. I felt like I could compete. It was because I was on. I felt like I knew I could compete at that level during my scout year, during my true freshman year. I was on the scout team against that lineman, that line that literally all went to the league. Like it was,
Yeah.
Chris McIntosh, Billy Ferrario, rest in peace, Dave Costa, Casey Robach, Mark Tauscher.
Yep.
Like that was nuts.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Ron James in the backfield. You got Chad Coons as it was just like Jesus. Like, it was that was a hell of a team. And so when I could compete with them, when I understood how to play with them and how to pad level, yada yada, like speed of the game, but I really felt I could play because you've met the best of the best there. So
Yeah.
I wasn't afraid of any linemen that somebody else had because I had seen somebody worse,
monsters.
Scary.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
Yeah. I would say Steve Hutchinson. There was one guy from Michigan. Steve Hutchinson was a beast, but he just reminded me of Billy Ferrario. So it wasn't anything different. But I would say they were. I felt comfortable my freshman year that I could play, and then there was a practice. There was a. I do remember there was a scrimmage where Bryson Thompson had gotten injured. I think he messed up his hamstring, and so I had to start. And I remember Jamar Fletcher was in the huddle, and I remember him saying this. I remember him verbatim. He was like, "Hey, look, man, you with the big boys now, man. Don't F up." And I just remember that pressure. I was like, "Oh, all right, yeah, I am." Like it was, you got Jamar Fletcher, Jason Doring, Mike Eccles. You got, it's Eric Mollick. It's Casey, Wendell. It's Nick Grice. We had some names, right? And so it was like, all right, yeah, I can't mess this up. And again, that goes back to that question you asked. Like, it wasn't the Madison thing that was on my back. It was like, man, I got to play for my brothers that are on the field with me. So yeah. And I remember that. I remember I probably graded out, 99 or 100%. I had decent amount of tackles that scrimmage. I was all over. Again, this might be some visions of grandeur, but I did pretty well in that. And and I think the coaches saw it, and the coaches felt like I was ready. And so I had that was kind of one of the things that helped me build that final level of confidence that I can play at this level.
Since I had the same number as you, good story of how you got your number, or just completely random?
Yeah, it was completely random, man. I wish I had a good number, bro. Yeah, it was
I don't either. It was just completely random for me too, but I love the number now.
Yeah, I was 44 in college. I was 44 in high school. My dad was 44 in high school. 39. I was like, maybe I could take, but it was really it wasn't as I don't know how old you are, but remember back in the day, if you were a linebacker, you had these numbers. If you were running back, you had these numbers, right? There was no hey, I can be 8. You know what I mean?
Right.
I can be number 1.
0 at D line. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? That didn't happen. So I think it was just Donnell had 44. That was already taken, and my dad's number was 39 in college, and that wasn't a linebacker number.
Yeah.
So I was just they gave me 46, and I just stuck with it.
So back to the play. Sophomore season, having another great season, but end up missing the final 4 games due to injury. That had to have been frustrating, I would assume, missing your final 4 games that year. What was the injury, and do you remember your thought process kind of going into that off season?
Yeah, my sophomore year, that was my L5 pedicle or something like that. It was lower back. I had some stress fracture in it, and so it just sucked. It was just really it hurt. It hurt a lot. I was and I was trying to play through it. I remember taking way more naproxen or whatever how you call it than you should, just to try and get through it. But it just sucked. But I think the idea was okay, I have to get healthy. And if I get healthy, I can I want to come back stronger, and better. And I also had 1 year under my belt that I played at that level. So like there was this level of confidence that I had going into camp. I remember going into my junior year that, I mean, I really felt good. And I think I had a really good spring ball. And I had a really, I think that was a spring ball that Lee tore his ACL. So yeah, I remember, I felt really good that year. And then like, it felt really bad when, Lee, a dear friend of mine at the time and still is. And when he got his ACL, when he tore his ACL, like the air was let out of the spring game when that happened. But yeah, no, but it was really just about making sure that I'm stronger. And I think that was one thing I do remember from Denny Hellwig, who was our like doc or team doc at the time. He was just like, look, if you let this heal right, it'll be stronger. You'll never have to worry about it. And that was like my biggest thing. I remember just always kind of keeping it on the back of my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I guess is that the toughest? I mean, that has to be the toughest thing for a college athlete coming off a great season, like to just rest. You know what I mean? Especially because I'm sure you've talked about it, like having your teammates that pressure of not wanting to let your teammates down. So that had to wade into your decision to, keep trying to play through as well.
It's also, man, like interesting enough. It's also like, I think I could be honest. Like, I mean, I got my shot because somebody got injured, because Bryson got injured. If Bryson doesn't get injured and I don't get a chance to play in that scrimmage to showcase my talent or, quote unquote talent, like I might not be able to start as a freshman. Right. And so for me, it was, there's also that fear when you're on the team, like you don't want to like give up your spot. And so you got to get back. And so there's this pressure of getting back as quick as possible. And then there's this other pressure of making sure that you let it heal as efficiently as possible. And so it's like a weird, it's a weird balance you got to try and have. And you got to trust your body. You got to trust in your, in the doc staff or in the athletic staff or health staff. And, so, but again, the good thing was, I don't want to call it good. Like the issue was like it was last 4 games, but in that last 4 games, I had time to build, and then we had until spring ball, so I had a whole like off season to like really get prepared for the next season. Now that was the hardest one. My junior year was I had a really bad stinger, which took me out I think 6 games or 7 games or something like that. That was the hardest one because that was one where I was a perennial. I was one of the leaders of the defense. I was really, I was coming into my own, I'd like to say. And I was playing really well. And, that was just a really bad one. Stinger will always, you have a bad stinger like that. Like it'll play with your head a little bit because it's, I can still feel it at certain times, like if I do something wrong or I turn too quick on stuff. So
yeah, was there anyone you leaned on during those times, especially your junior year, when you were maybe mentally struggling a little bit during rehabbing that?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. My roommate at the time was Darius Jones. He had tore, I think, his knee or ACL or something like that at that time. We were just like, it was just like ICU in our apartment. It was like so it was like me and him, and then actually what was crazy was Lee lived upstairs from us. Lee lived two stories or two flights upstairs from us. So it was like Lee had an ACL tear. I'm in I got a sling on my shoulder. I got stinger issue. Darius is in a DonJoy on his knee from ACL. So I think we all kind of leaned on each other. Stay the course, make sure, we're following our process, make sure we're following our training regimen, and just get back and be better, and so again, it's just that brotherhood. I think that, you just don't want to let your guys down, and, you can't give up because that means you're giving up on them. So
I don't know how accurate this stat I found was, but when you weren't playing, they went the Badgers went 1-5. So were guys ever trying to get you to play before you were ready? Like, hey, we win when you're out there. We kind of need you to play.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think we're all. I mean, I don't know. I mean, here's what I would say: if I didn't play, like I couldn't play. Like,
Yeah.
there's no like. There was never like, hey, I got a bum finger. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna play. Like, no, if I didn't play, I couldn't swing my shoulder. I mean, I couldn't swing my arm. Like when I had a stinger, like I couldn't swing my arm when I run. So like I was pretty out. I was out of it. So I'd like to sit here. People are out. No, nobody was out here. No, I was. If I was hurt, I was hurt. So,
I mean that junior year, you still finished the team 5th in tackles. Top it off with a defensive MVP in the Alamo Bowl while going on to beat Colorado. I think sports mimics life in that regard with the ups and the downs and progression and setbacks. Do you ever look back at those years with injuries and maybe have some form of appreciation for them, like having learned those lessons and come out better on the other side?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good statement or really good, outlook. I mean, yeah, I think that's kind of my. I think my. I don't know, and that's not superpower. That's not the right word. I think like what I do well is I have a good perspective on things. I think I try to see the good in everything. I try and see the positive. I think because I've gone through that and I came out with whatever I deemed successful, like I came out, I felt like I had a successful outcome from that. I think I can always count on that as like a baseline or a benchmark that I can use when, tough times come to me now, right? Like I've gone through other things, I've gone through tougher things and come out on top or succeeded from it. So I definitely have that resource to access or that memory, that trial and tribulation to access when I'm down on something or I feel bad about current state of affairs or what I'm dealing with. Like I know that if I just put one step forward, if I put my head down, do the work, remain accountable, make sure I'm taking care of the things that I need to take care of, I think I normally can see that light at the end of the tunnel and we can get there. We can be successful in that, whatever that process is.
On a little bit lighter note, I've been doing this segment called Start, Sit, Redshirt. So it'll be with guys that you've played with. So
Start, Sit, Redshirt?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it'll be Nick Greisen, Alex Lewis, and Chris Godorsey.
Oh, Guido? Jesus.
Yeah.
Shoot. Ooh, that's good. Oh God. Oh man. I have so this is like the technical side of me, which I want to ask a question on this, and maybe you don't have to answer. If I just got to call it, I got to call it. But what's happening in this season right now? Do we have a shot? Do we have a shot to make it to the championship? Are we? Is it the start of the season?
Start of the season. And all these guys are in their prime. You got to think of like them in their college prime. Sorry, college prime.
Okay. You know what? No, that's not gonna work. Oh shoot. All right. Oh God. Oh man, this is hard. Okay. The reason why it's hard because I feel like I want to say redshirt Alex because he'll be even better the next year, and you might have like an All-American, but I can't do it because he's so good. All right, start, sit, redshirt. Okay. I'm gonna start. Okay. Can I ask a question? Sit or redshirt? Sit just means he can play, but he's second string.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Got it. Okay. I'm going to start. Oh God, I feel so bad. I just hope I don't see any of these guys. I hope I don't. I'm going to start Alex. I'm going to sit Nick, and I'm a redshirt Guido.
Okay.
That sounds horrible.
And they're all
Guido,
getting
like,
tagged in it. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, right. Guido won more games than I think probably the Nick and Alex combined. You know what I mean? Like, but I just think I would like to have Guido next year. I like to have Guido as long as I can keep him. But like, I think Nick was a great leader. I got to start Alex just because of the athletic talent that he was. By far, he was the most athletic person I think I ever played with.
Yeah.
Nick was he was a great leader. He was just really a tactician as a linebacker. I would put him near like body wise and like physicality wise, like kind of like a Pete Monty.
Yeah.
I just thought, and Guido, the problem I have is like Guido, I don't see him without Donnell.
Sure.
I think that's my problem.
Yeah.
Like if you said Donnell, Nick, and Alex, I'd probably Donnell, Guido, and Alex. I'd probably say you have to start and sit Guido and Donnell. I don't know. You just have to put them in. I'd start Donnell, sit Guido, and then redshirt Alex, because just those two guys together were, the best.
Yeah. Post college, you end up on the Vikings, right? For a couple months.
Yeah. Yep. For a couple months.
What was that like in terms of difficulty at that playing level? And then maybe, I don't know if you felt it, but the stress of trying to make an impact, to kind of get the coach's attention to retain a spot there.
Yeah, it was hard. I mean, it was just a different environment. Playing in the league doesn't feel anything like college. It's way more of a business, and there's not this. It's not. I mean, at least at the onset, at the beginning, there's not this level of like, we're all in this together. Let's all work together to be the best team we can. Because again, you're messing with people's livelihoods now. Like,
yeah,
you start over a guy that has 4 kids and a mortgage and 401k and like he can't worry about the kid. I mean, I'm worried about finding codes for video games. Like he's out here like reallocating his 401k. Like
right.
We just have totally different perspectives on life at that point. So I would say I'm not. It just felt really kind of not scattered, but it felt very like you're this type of kid.
Yeah,
imbalanced. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, thank you. Like, it just didn't feel like a team. It felt like you were getting a chance to be on a team.
Yeah,
and if you made it, and especially I wasn't a kid that got drafted. I came on as a free agent, so
yeah,
there was no need. Like, I had to show and prove from the beginning, and then it was hard because we had drafted some linebackers that I actually had played against, and I thought were good guys, but I didn't think they were nowhere near as. I didn't think they were as good. I thought they weren't. They had better probably attributes, but I didn't think they were better linebackers than I was.
Yeah.
But also, it's a business, so you paid that guy $1 million bonus to come on. Like, you paid me $5,000, so
right.
I'm naturally gonna get ousted. And at the same point in time too, I would sit here and say I don't think I played my best when I was there. I think the defense, you get very minimal time to showcase your talent, and if you don't do well, you get canned. And that's, I mean, I'm raising my hand for the fact of my wife's looking at me like, am I saying something wrong? Oh, okay. I raised my hand and say I just felt, I felt odd. I was in Minnesota, which was weird. Oh, I know why she's here. She's probably trying to sit here and say like she wasn't around, so I was sad because my wife wasn't around. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You see how women? Oh no, you didn't say that. You're just looking at me like, okay. Anyway, yeah. I was in a foreign place, kind of weird. That was weird too. Like, I just didn't. I would raise my hand. It was me. Like, I'm the control of my own reality, so I didn't play my best, and they went with a different direction, and so.
When you decided to move on from football, what did that internal conversation with yourself look like?
That was hard. It was hard because it was like all your life you've excelled at it, right? Like you might have had some setbacks, but you had time to like prove yourself. And it's hard when it's like it's sudden. It feels a little abrupt. It feels it's a big transition, man. Like you know you don't know where to turn. I mean you have people like I had my dad, but I felt somewhat embarrassed. You know, I felt like I didn't finish the goal. I didn't close the loop. I didn't reach it. I didn't reach the pinnacle. Like, yeah, I mean, I made it there, and that sounds cool, but you're not, you know, in your mind, it's not about making it there. It's about making it there and then like being a contributor.
Yes.
Yeah, actually being on the field, helping contribute to the team's goals.
Yeah.
I made it there, but then they said like, hey, thanks, get your bags, So
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels like a big letdown, and then when you're a player, like it's not the first time you've let somebody down. Like I've missed tackles, I've gotten scored on, like but it's one of those things where like you just like it's over, and that's a hard pill to swallow,
That's a great segue here. So in the Real Talk podcast that you're on, you guys talked extensively, about how you immediately set pen to paper, wrote down your goals, and one of those was that you were going to rebrand yourself to not be known as Jeff Mack, the football player, but Jeff Mack, the banker, and if they happen to throw in, oh, by the way, he played football as well.
Yeah. I wanted that. I wanted the thing to change it. I had a 3-year kind of like plan. So my whole plan was like I knew, because I was in mortgage lending, so the sales side of things. So that all, you're going out there shaking hands, kissing babies, stuff like that. You're trying to make, get a name for yourself. And, I knew that people would know me. One, they might think I'm my dad. So they might be, oh, yeah, you caught the pass. Like, no, that's not me. That was my dad. But again, it's a good conversation starter to have.
Yeah.
You need that type of stuff. So I knew that was a piece of the puzzle. And then, but my whole thing was like, I wanted to use that to my advantage. So I knew that like, all right, if they're going to know me from football, then what I want to make sure is that I know my craft enough to be able to say in 3 years, I know they used to say, hey, Jeff, that's Jeff Mack. He played football. Now he's a banker. To like in 3 years, like, hey, that's Jeff Mack. He's that banker, but he also used to play football.
Yeah.
And if that transition could happen, I think I would have succeeded in my goals. And so that was the thought process. That was the mindset. And I got that from an old, I say old Badger, but I mean that with a lot of like positivity there. Like I got it from an old, or not that a specific thought process, but I got the idea of the 3-year process from a guy, Joe Armitrout. He was a realtor in the Madison area, been a super successful guy for a long time. I had coffee with him, early on when I started in banking. And one of the things he said, like, Jeff, you're going to be grossly underpaid for all the work you do at the beginning and trying to get your name out there, talk to different people, go to events, so on and so forth. He didn't say grossly overpaid, but then you'll start to reap the rewards of what you sowed 3 years from now when people start to remember that, oh, yeah, that's Jeff that does this, or, oh, yeah. And then my father-in-law was extremely instrumental in my success as a banker in the sense of just kind of teaching me like some really basic things. And just it's all the same thing. It's very football. It's very reminiscent of football, kind of like, it's like know your process, know your technique. Like the technique was my father likes to talk about was like, make sure people know what you do and say please and thank you, just like real basic stuff, and like make sure you do the best job you can, and know your craft. And so, that was the transition. So yeah, you're spot on.
Yeah, I just think that's super smart, super interesting. I think a lot of athletes have a tough time finding themselves outside of sports. If they truly love playing, I guess, what would be your advice on how you kind of separated it?
Yeah, I know the NCAA gets a bad rap and all this jazz for a lot of things, but like there's this commercial that they had that I thought was like super instrumental and super, like it was always like in the back of my mind. Like it said something to the degree of like,
1%
99% of our athletes,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, or 1% of our athletes go pro. 99% of our athletes go pro in something other than their sport, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, man, like just, okay, you didn't reach that goal. Like, yeah, most of us didn't win national championships. Yeah, most of us didn't win Big Ten championships. Yeah, most of us aren't All-Americans. Like, we're not going to always achieve the greatest goal possible, but what we can do is still be successful. We know that. We know we have the skill set. We know we have the drive. We built all of these pieces of success, or all these pieces of success are within us from all of the things that we've done to get to this point. So I know it feels tough. I know it feels hard, but two things. Like, one, I hope through this college career, through any athlete's career at a collegiate level, they've developed some friendships with their teammates, and utilize your teammates as the shoulder to cry on, or your shoulder or a hand up, right? Like, I think all of us see the value in each other and want to see us all succeed. And so I would always say, just because you didn't make it in your respective sport, that doesn't mean that you're not going to make it in this life and in the world. And there's so many skills. Like, football is really hard, when you're playing a game, and there's a lot of things happening all at once, man. Those skill sets. I remember like my second semester of my fifth year, or no, I think I had one class my fifth year for my redshirt senior year. I remember being like, man, like, or I remember, no, it was a spring. I'm sorry, Adam, it was a spring. And during the spring, like, we didn't have football. We just had spring game, but like we had 2 or 3 months of like no football. I remember, man, being like, that was like the easiest way to get an A. Like, to get an A in the spring, that was easy. Like, I didn't have to worry about it. I didn't have to watch game film. I didn't have to do anything. Like, man, it was. If I just had to focus on academics, I could kill. I could crush school. And so,
yeah,
I guess all I'm trying to say is I was really prepared for life after football, because I think I had developed all the skill sets I needed to be successful. I had the base level.
Yeah.
And then I had a want, and I had a competitive spirit that would drive me to be the best version I could be in whatever profession I wanted to go into.
So you've been around banking quite a bit now. I assume talk to a lot of people. Is there a piece of advice you would give to kids that are financial piece of advice to kids that are getting NIL money, and then opposite side, one piece of financial advice for athletes who don't, move on past college sports?
Financial advice for a kid, and then financial advice for an athlete that didn't make it to the next level.
Yeah.
From the NIL side, right?
Yep. Okay.
So from an NIL perspective, I guess I'd say, like, you get that money. NIL is an interesting topic, but what I would say is be like, this money is not about. I think you should be more capital conservation in this at this point in your life versus opportunistic. And the idea behind time is money, and like, when you're young, you have time on your side, so you can take risks. The difference is, like, this money is coming from you taking the ultimate risk, which is the risk of your body. And so at this moment, when you're 18 to 24, I would really just be real focused on capital conservation, right? Just setting it in like really safe investments, and then finding out what your career holds after sports, and then doing some crafty stuff, getting into private equity, whatever you want to do, right? Like, but I think right now, like, and just knowing a little bit about banking and kind of like where things are at, like, market's pretty frothy right now. You got a lot of wild things going on in the world. It would behoove you to probably be a little more conservative in your approach, especially with the amount of money that you're getting. Like, again, as kids, I mean, shoot, Adam, like I had a scooter. I needed to go to Qdoba. You know what I mean? Like I could go a whole week spending $25. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I don't know how much money you need in college, and again, I'm not in college, so I don't know all the things that are now put upon these kids. But I would be real big on capital conservation for a kid that doesn't make it. Like, you have no idea the amount of skill and talent that you have to be able to put into the world from a business level. Like your work ethic, your understanding of detail orientation, your ability to understand what accountability means, your understanding of time management, your competitive spirit, your want to succeed, your understanding of what it takes to succeed is so great, so much greater, I think, than most non-student athletes.
Yeah.
That if you can just harness that and put that into the space of whatever your proverbial profession will be, like you'll hit it out the park. I mean, there's so many times like we talk about at the business side of things and at the executive side of things of how like you see the talent, like what is the youth or what is the younger generations, like where's their drive, like what's their what's the thing that gets them up in the morning and gets them churning and ready and wanting to succeed. And it's hard to see that sometimes. I'm not trying to make some big case on like Gen Z is bad or whatever the youngest generation is bad. Like that's not what I'm trying to say. It's just like it's very hard to find it right now. And I think what I like to go back to is I see student athletes and I still see that drive there. Like the ones that I've talked to, the ones that I've discussed or that we brought on and hired or what have you, they've always really excelled because like they have this drive that comes from within. It's not like you're not trying to like spark it. They already have it. And so I think you have that skill set. Now the problem though is like you've put all this time, energy, and effort into something, and now you got to reharness and refocus all that into something different. And now you're 22, 23 versus 18. But again, like you have time on your side because you're 22.
Right.
like, when I was 22, like, the world was my oyster, right?
Like, right.
You can do anything when you're 22, and like options aren't a bad thing. Like you also don't have to like, you don't have to hit a home run at 22.
Right.
You can learn some things. You can look at some options, and hey, if the options doesn't work for you, that there's a value add in that, right? Which is like, all right, I know this isn't what I want to do.
Yeah.
So now I can focus on what I do want to do. So I would say those two things. I think, from an NIL standpoint, you got money, try and be really conservative about it, keep it in some really, I mean, this might be, and again, somebody might look at this and be like, yeah, of course a banker would say that, wants to keep the money liquid in a bank and keep it in a very deposit account. So yeah, that might be true. There might be some bias there, but I would say that if my daughter was, making big money in NIL, that's what I would do. I wouldn't jump into, large cap, stocks and bonds and all that stuff. I'd probably be pretty simple with that,
So you're kind of getting into more advice for the younger generation, so we'll jump into it. Girl dad to 4 girls. How old are they?
From 11 to 19. So 11, 14, 16, and 19.
So only 3 still at home, or all 4 are still at home?
No, I got 3 still. I got 3 at home. One is at Howard University in DC.
Okay.
Yeah.
This might be an untouchable question, but did you / do you have a favorite age so far, or was it different with every kid?
Favorite age?
Yeah.
Oh.
To raise them.
oh man, I don't know. Like it's all different. I mean, I guess I'd say for me, for like being a dad and like protection, like that 3 to 5. Like, easy. You could just you can wrangle them all in your hands. You know what I mean? Like that was easy for me. Like, I could grab them, pick them up. Like they were still all chubby and, lovely. And they all cheered when I came home. But now they're real adults and they're kind of, I like to see their thought process, their logic. I like having the discussions with them. They're pretty creative. They're crafty. They make some pretty good jokes about me. So I like that. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if I have a best age. I think as a dad, a traditional dad wants to be very protective of his kids. Like I'd say the younger, that kind of when they were all between 2 and 7.
Yeah.
No, I don't think I ever had them all between 2 and 7. Wait, 11 and 19, so 8 years apart. That kind of like 0 to 8, 1 to 9,
Yeah.
2 to 10. That was all right. That was okay. But I think it's more also, my wife was doing a lot of that too, so it was probably easier for me because she was probably she was at home doing a little bit more than I was.
Yeah.
Obviously.
You said you wanted to be, very similar to your parents and how they brought you up through sports. Were you that way with your daughters in terms of like?
No, actually very different.
Okay.
I wasn't. I coached. I coached my youngest daughter in basketball. My kids play sports that I'd never played. So they play.
Okay.
Yeah, they swim. They swim. They play lacrosse, and volleyball, and soccer. And I played basketball and football. So like I didn't play those sports. So and my wife was more the. She led the charge when it came to the sports that the kids played.
Yeah.
And I think it's been great. I think the kids are extremely well rounded. I think they all play sports and they played at a competitive level. But I will also tell you, man, I think there's an interesting kind of juxtaposition that I'm in when it comes to sports at this stage. Like,
yeah.
A part of me wants them just to have fun. I don't want them to get in too deep the way I did. Like,
yeah.
There might be some biases there too that I don't know if we have time to go into that. But I don't want them. I'm happy that they just found fun in playing the sport. And I think that was something my wife was real instrumental on and trying to put to instill in the kids.
Yeah.
I think I had a different opinion, and I'm not going to sit here and say that my opinion is wrong. I'm just going to sit here and say I think I like where the kids are now and how they view sports. Do I wish they had some super competitive spirit sometimes? Of course, but I also think they're more balanced than I was. So,
have you been back to Camp Randall with all the family? Have you been to a game with all the family?
Yeah. We've been to games. Yeah, we've been to games.
Was that first game with all the family kind of a surreal moment? Like, did your family, did they understand the weight or how special that probably was for you? Or were they too young?
No, I don't think so. God, that's a really good question, man. And I wish I had some real poignant answer on it. I don't. I think my kids were just happy to be there. They wanted some hot chocolate or they wanted a hot dog, and
Sure.
They were just having fun, And I think Dad playing. They were so. I will say this: my the administration, the athletic administration, did a really really cool thing for my dad. They did an honor my dad when my dad passed in 22, and so. When they were there and my kids saw that was special for me, and it was hard, but it was a really cool thing.
Yeah.
But that was, again, my dad wins all the time, right? Like he's a cool guy. So he won that day. That wasn't about me. So, but I love the fact that I have, I still have a connection to UW. I still have a connection to the team in some regards. I have a connection to the administration. I value that immensely. Football, UW football is an important part of my life, and UW football is what brought my family, my parents' family here. And so I'll always have that allegiance, and I think my kids always have. Even my oldest daughter, who's at Howard, a different obviously school, every football game is in comparison to UW. Like she's like, this is not this is not a Badger game. You know what I mean? Like, so the Badgers are like, it might not be something that's spoken about, but I think it's like it's ingrained in who we are as a family. We're all Badgers at heart. So,
which was more fun, a game at Camp Randall with the family, or the photo shoot you did with stylegirlfriend.com?
Oh my God! You gotta get out of Google, man. Oh man!
Hey, I do my research. I do my thorough research.
Really good, man. You are good, man. I appreciate you, man. You're a man of craft. You're a man of craft.
But the photo shoot looked fun. It looked like everybody was having fun.
Yeah, it was fun. The kids enjoyed themselves. Yeah, it was playing football. Playing football, 100%.
What surprised you most about raising 4 daughters compared to expectations you had early on?
I think that the amazing thing about kids and amazing thing about, I guess I'll say kids and then daughters, it's interesting because I've never raised sons, so I don't know the difference between a daughter and a son, to be honest with you, right? But so I would say for kids, it's just like how different they all are. Like, and that is probably the most intriguing, interesting, probably like a thing that you have to deal with, and that can be hard at times. Also, just being a guy in a house of 5 women, like it's a lot, man. You lose often. You learn how to lose, which is like, as a competitor, you never want to lose, but like you learn like sometimes a loss is a win. Like you get yourself out of that. Just get yourself like abort. You know what I mean? Like you learn how to abort pretty quick. So, but yeah, no, man, it's super cool. It's one of the joys of life that if you don't have kids, I know it may seem like it's easy, but I think you're missing the biggest joy in life that you ever,
Yes.
The opportunity to raise somebody that's 50% you from a gene standpoint, but then can be like 100% you from an attitude.
Yeah.
Or 100% of you from like a facial recognition. You know what I mean? Like you're just, it's a wow thing. And then just to be able to see that you've created something that's really, truly, true value to society. There's nothing like it.
This is going to be my attempt to tie it into football. Linebackers are built on discipline and preparation. How did that translate into fatherhood, especially with having 4? Because I have 1, and at times I'm like, this is pure chaos. So I can't imagine 4.
Yeah. I mean, 1, I think like you learn that process matters. You learn that details matter. You learn to trust your teammate, your wife, or, your respective partner. You learn to, and that be ready for anything.
Yeah.
But like cooler heads will prevail. Like don't everything, if they blow up, if you can't blow up if they blow up, like you need somebody to be the calm, the lever, the lever puller, right? Like
you
need to be able to combat that chaos with calm. And then, but there are times then you have to like showcase showcase you're crazy to be like, hey, look, like we can both play this game. You're not going to win on this. If you want to try this, like you're not going to win. So I mean, I think it's about understanding process and understanding that what is it that like kind of like this idea like it's the journey, not the destination.
Yeah.
Like the work is in the days and the nights and it's in the time. The destination will be successful, or the journey or the goal will be successful so long as the journey was successful. So focus on the journey.
I saw a quote the other day. It rings so true because it was when you have a kid, the days are long, the years are short.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Yeah, man, I got a kid in college, bro, and I still think I'm I think I was fresh out of college. You know,
Right.
I still, I might, I still think I can move around a decent amount. Like I still got, no, I don't have any eligibility, but like, you know what I mean? Like I don't think I'm that old to where I have a kid that's in college. Like but I do. My wife and I met, like we have pictures in our house of when we were our kids' age.
Yeah.
That's wild. Like that's nuts to me,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Spotify makes me feel old all the time, where it's like old school hip hop and it's like college music for me. Like, what are you talking about? This just came out like 2 years ago.
I was rocking this in the car yesterday. Right.
But this has been awesome, Jeff. I always end these with final 2 questions. So first one, if your daughters come across this, the one's 19, but if for the other ones too, when they are 18 or come of age, what is one thing that you hope they take away from this interview?
I think that. Oh man, that's a good question. I don't know. I think what they take away is that their dad was a good guy that loved them dearly and loved his family dearly and tried to be the best version of himself he could be for his family. I think I'd like them to know that.
And this one might be a little bit easier for you, but it's going to wrap up fully with the 2 parts of my name. How do you think the Badgers football team are going to do next year?
I'm always a positive guy. If we got a good defense, and I like our defensive coordinator. I like our 2 linebackers. I like
that Posa.
Yeah, Posa.
Yeah,
that's my guy. Like, if we got a good defense, defense wins championships, and I think if we got a good defense, we'll be okay. This world is way different, man. You think about things and you look at, Indiana wins the national championship. Average age of the kids is 23, 24 years old. Like it's just a different world, right? But money plays a big role in it. But I think we'll figure it out. I think we've always been good about figuring things out. We've always thought, we have the proper perspective around getting the basics right, and I think if we can do that, if our athletic administration and coaching staff can focus on the little things, which I know they do a good job of, I think we got a shot. And I think if Indiana can win, like this is the thing, if Indiana can win the chip, like anybody can, you know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, like why not us? Like truly, why not us? Like we just gotta play the game right, So
all right,
I'm always an optimist for the Badgers.
Hey, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Badger. Huge thanks to Jeff Mack for sharing his journey from Wisconsin football to rebranding himself outside of sports and what it means to be a proud father of 4. If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to like, subscribe, and let us know who you want to hear from next. As always, on Wisconsin. Thanks, Jeff.
On Wisconsin. Talk to you soon, man. Thanks so much.